Let's see how we actually build an app that uses an image sprite as a control button rather than a typical button or other user interface control. Remember, the image sprite is a graphics component, and it will allow us to do some graphical things with our user interface control. In order to show how it might fit into an app in the context of other components, we will go ahead and just add a button onto our screen. We're not actually going to use this button. This is just going to be shown for how we can link these things together. Change the text to button 1. We're not going to do anything with this. It's just to show how we can have that placeholder on screen. Now, in order to put an image sprite on our screen, we actually have to add something called a canvas. A drawing canvas is the area upon which our graphic elements are going to be drawn within our overall screen. We're going to go up here to Drawing and Animation in the palette, and we're going to select Canvas. When we drag that over here, you're going to see that it appears very small, although when the program actually runs, it's set such that in its properties it will automatically expand to the available height and width that it can fit into. What we're going to do, however, is we're going to change this to a particular size. By clicking on height, we're going to change the height here to, say, 25%, and then we're going to set the width to some value. Again, you can work these out experimentally to figure out what works for you. So now we've set aside a small drawing area on our screen. Next up, we're going to take an image sprite, and we're going to drag that onto the canvas area. Now, at this point in time, it has placed the component at an x and y coordinate where we dragged it to. So we could move that to some other location, and you'll see it'll change the location here. You can also set those by typing values down below. But at this point, it doesn't really look like a button, does it? What we want to do is we want to assign a picture to our image sprite. So we have a graphic element that we can add by uploading a file from our computer. So we've gone into the file upload. Running this on a Mac, it will look a little different on Windows. We're going to select my button graphic. You can see it looks like a button that says OK. And it will upload that. And now we see we have that on the screen. Next up, what we're going to do is, again, to show how this fits within a regular set of buttons, we can put this down here and say button 2. We'll change the text on this one to say button 2. And again, we're not actually going to do any programming for these buttons. They're simply placeholders that we've placed on the screen. Now we'll go into the blocks. You'll note we have an image sprite is one of our blocks. What we want to do is we want to make it act like a button. So we actually come down here and we have a number of items that are touch sensitive, one of which is actually flung, but that gets into some graphics issues that we're not going to get into, and 3 that are having to do with when we touch the object. I'm going to use the one called touchdown. So we'll just drag that up here onto the screen. And next what we're going to do is we're going to change the heading of the sprite. Next, what we will do is we will go to the image sprite blocks, and we will find the one that lets us set the heading. Down here you can see set image sprite heading. The heading corresponds to the direction of movement for the sprite. So far we don't have a sprite that's doing anything. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to have it rotate around a point on the screen, and to do that we're actually going to come up here and do an addition. So we're going to take the sprite's current heading, go back down here. Now you can see we can get ImageSprite 1 heading. And if I can grab it, there we go. We'll go over like that. And then we will also put in a value of 45. So we're going to have our sprite rotate in increments of 45 degrees. Just like that. Another item that we can do but don't have to do, I want to mention, is the rotation is something that's actually turned on or off. Going back over here to the properties of the sprite, I wanted to show you that we have a property called rotates. This box needs to be set to true or checked in order for the rotation function by changing the sprite's heading to actually function. When we go over to the blocks, we could also set that programmatically, as I've done in the sample in the tutorial, where I've actually gone in here and set the rotates, here we go, to true. So this is another way that you can ensure that that's going to be set correctly. So there you have it. That's the complex programming necessary to make that sprite change when we touch it. So what it will do, let's go back here, is when we click on this during program execution, this OK button will become at a slanted 45-degree angle, then it will rotate to a vertical position, and then over to the left, and so on, all the way around. Each time we press it, it will just continue to advance by 45 degrees.